But first, Dr. Alex del Carmen is an executive director of the School of Criminology, Criminal Justice, and Strategic Studies at Tarleton State University. It's in Fort Worth, Texas. Doctor, thank you so much for your time. And I think the big question for us is, are we ever going to find out a motive? The suspect is dead, and there's no longer an active shooting situation. But will we ever be able to find a motive, or is it just going to be speculation from here on out?
Thanks for having me, Brad. I think that we probably will. My guess is that law enforcement right now is trying to identify this person's dwelling. If they're not there yet, they're on their way. They're probably going to be able to go through social media, computer hard drives, telephone calls, individuals that he may have talked to, and really find out exactly what this person was thinking, how long he was planning this event, and whether or not he has any ties to any groups.
Dr. Del Carmen, this is Pat Thurston. Do you think that the violence that we have seen in Dallas and here now in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, is this going to have any impact at the GOP convention? It starts tomorrow in Cleveland and another open carry state. We know protests are going to take place. Do you think that this is going to have an impact?
You know, Pat, I think that there's going to be definitely a psychological impact among the law enforcement agencies that are going to be there. Keep in mind, you're going to have federal agencies, state and local agencies that are coordinating the security of the event. And as part of their responsibility, they're going to have to worry about delegates. They're going to have to worry about dignitaries. They're going to have to worry about members of the press, individuals that are coming in to just be curious as to what's going on, and then also protesters that are going to be a few feet away from the main entrance of this particular dwelling.
If we can go back in time just a little bit, if these these shootings of police officers, if there is a relationship here to the other things that have taken place and the acts of police violence against black young men in particular, is there, I mean, you're an expert in police training. Is there something that's missing in police training that de-escalates violent situations that maybe should be one of the things that we should be pursuing going forward as we deal with all of this horrific violence?
I mean, there's no question. And then also there's a need really to have an honest conversation between members of the community and individuals that are going to be patrolling our streets throughout the United States. I mean, there's been, in my view, a lack of trust or a fading away component that has been intrinsic between law enforcement and the community for many years in the United States. That's lacking, and it's dying.
And it seems like it's worsening. The lack of trust is getting worse than I've ever seen it.
No, I agree, Pat. And I think that, to be honest with you, I pray for our country that these are isolated events, and this will not be part of our new normal going forward. What I fear the most is that this becomes so normative that media is in some ways expecting it to happen, and the public is no longer shocked when they watch these events unfold.
We're speaking with Dr. Alex del Carmen. He's the executive director of the School of Criminology, Criminal Justice, and Strategic Studies at Tarleton State University in Fort Worth, Texas. Doctor, I know it's, in some scenarios you have to be on speaker because you're driving or what have you. Are you in a situation where you can pick up the phone?
I am in a situation where I am on a landline, but I am on a speaker.
Yeah, can you pick up the phone?
I'm not able to, no.
Okay. Just wanted to find out from you, what do you think we should do moving forward as far as police training, or does it need to be, does there need to be a change in police tactics?
I think it begins with the recruitment aspect of it. Brad, at the beginning of the day, when you think about police officers that are, some of which are going to exercise constitutional rights that they don't have, and they're going to shoot people that are innocent and various other things, these very few, and I underscore the fact that most police officers are honest, hardworking people, but unfortunately these few police officers that may find themselves in that situation are going to be officers that we have failed the community in the process of hiring people that should have never been cops. So it begins during the recruitment phase, and it ends during the hiring process.
These tensions are so high right now, Dr. Del Carmen. I'm concerned about how right now, how we're going to try to ease those tensions. Police officers have got to be completely on edge right now. Communities of color have not been reassured by any means by the violence against police officers that have taken place now. What can we do immediately to try to relieve some of those tensions?
You know, Pat, that's a great question, and it has to come from Washington, and it has to end in the streets, in the community groups, as well as the churches in all of our communities. We have to start that dialogue. If we don't engage the community and we don't engage the law enforcement organizations throughout our states, throughout our cities, this can end up in a civil war. Unfortunately, and I'm not trying to be dramatic or I'm not trying to be an alarmist, but this is happening and it's becoming part of that new normal. We have to have an honest dialogue so that members of our communities, particularly those of us that are minorities, can actually engage law enforcement and address to them and remind them of what our expectations are, that we want to be treated like the rest of society.
You know, when you talk about the potential for it becoming the new normal, it kind of gives me goosebumps because we've seen that happen in terms of mass shootings by and large. Unless it's a really, really big mass shooting, it's just something that we just shake our heads at and then we go upon our daily, whatever we're doing during that day. I don't want to see this become the new normal. Is that something that you think is happening?
I think it can. I think it has the potential to do that. And to be really honest with you, in the 20 years that I have trained police officers throughout the United States, this is the only time in my career where I have actually paused and really stopped to reflect on the absolute dangers that we have of the implications that these shootings have throughout the United States. You got to remember, these videos, that have been shown throughout the U.S. These attacks, like the one we experienced here in the Dallas area last week, that ended up killing 5 police officers, are inspiring people from throughout the country to radicalize themselves and go out and take matters in their own hand and kill innocent police officers. That is a really, really scary reality for anyone in law enforcement.
So your concern is essentially like lone wolf terrorists, that these are individuals who will take this upon themselves, not necessarily that there would be a plot, a group of individuals who would mount warfare against police departments across the country?
That's exactly right. And to that point, by the way, it is a lot easier for law enforcement at the federal, local, and state level to localize a threat and minimize it by going after a group than it is by trying to prevent any individual from any background to engage in this kind of activity.
I've asked other guests that we've had on today, Dr. Del Carmen, about open carry. Louisiana's an open carry state. Cleveland, Ohio is an open carry state. Is open carry, does that exacerbate the threat to police officers, in your opinion?
Not necessarily. I mean, it depends on who exercises that ability always. But, my belief is that it really has to do a lot more than the access to guns as to who's actually using them. And so at the end of the day, when you look at, so far what some of the media outlets have reported is that this individual in Baton Rouge, the bad guy, was someone from Kansas City who belonged to a citizens movement that was a sovereign citizen movement there. So if that is in fact true, one of the things that this will show you is that a lot of these folks are coming from other states where they may or may not have open carry.
All right. Our thanks to Dr. Alex del Carmen, Executive Director of the School of Criminology, Criminal Justice, and Strategic Studies at Tarleton State University in Fort Worth, Texas. We really appreciate your time and your perspective as we learn more about the moments leading up to the attack.